Hello, and welcome to the existential stream of consciousness known as the Really Big Fucking Podcast. I am Bino.
Hello. And I am Poet.
So, this episode, we're going to be going over some of the new season stuff that'll be coming out next season. The new map looks pretty sweet, and we're going to go over the designer's notes for next patch, or the stuff that'll at least be hitting the TTS soon. Lots of good stuff in there. So
yeah, a lot of new information. Like just a huge, it's a huge surprise to me, especially because I was not expecting this scope of changes coming in with this season. I don't know about you.
I didn't expect this much, and I definitely didn't expect this much good stuff. So
yeah, good stuff.
A surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
Get out of here. Prequel memes.
And then after we get done with all of that, we're going to be sharing with you our interview that we had with the CR6, which stands for Collegiate R6, the champions of last season, which is pretty exciting. Got a couple guys from the winning team of last season, and going to hear what they have to say about how they won and how they play, which I think you'll find interesting. And so yeah, that's about all we got for this episode. So getting into it. First things first, let's hit these designers' notes.
Yeah.
You want to lead us off?
Sure. So the big ticket item really, and it's at the top of the list. I mean, I think it's alphabetical? No, it's not alphabetical.
Yeah, I think they just knew it would be the hottest topic.
They knew that's the one that everybody wanted to know about, was the Ashe getting her ACOG removed.
Yeah. Good thing you said everybody wanted to know about, not everybody wanted.
Not everybody wanted. No, I think that there's. Well, I guess just to explain what it is. Okay, so, they're not removing COG as a means of nerfing her. They're, according to the notes, they're testing whether all attackers need ACOGs by default, and they feel that Ashe is the best operator to test that on because she's arguably one of the strongest, most picked operators on attack. So they feel like removing her ACOG would have less of an impact and to test out than other operators, which I would agree with. I think a lot of players run holographics or reflex sights on her R4C anyway, depending on map and the range of engagements that they plan on executing or whatever.
Yeah, there's a few pros that just exclusively run 1x sites with her, and they do it intentionally because they think it's fine. Yeah. Because it is fine.
It is. And I honestly, I imagine a decent amount of uproar about this, but I personally don't care. I think it's fine.
Yeah, agreed.
I actually prefer Ashe holographic because it's easier for me to control the visible recoil.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like why I run holographic on the F2, because it's just there's less apparent recoil to control, so it's fine.
Yeah, I think if you're planning to play Ashe in any kind of fragger role, then you're gonna do just fine with a holo. And if you're trying to hold super long flank routes, then maybe you'll have some issues. But I think at that point you just bring Zofia or somebody else. Sledge doesn't matter. I don't know. I think there's so many characters that fill that role. Sledge and Zofia, the first two that come to mind. And I think if you need an ACOG that bad, you just take one of those two.
Yeah, I think that that if you're holding a super long angle as Ashe, then you're not doing it right. That's not her job. That's not what she's designed for. She's meant to be the tip of the spear in the shit. In the trenches, fragging, trading.
Yeah, I think she's also somewhat underutilized as a flank watch sometimes, though, just because she is a 3-speed and can get to the action if her people need her. So
right, I think, which is an argument that Kickstar made, is that she is a decent flank holder because she's fast and she has a good kit, so she can make off the flank into the action quickly. But there are other operators, like you said, that can fulfill that role.
Yeah, if you go way back into the archives of Kickstar's YouTube videos and look at his Hereford base strat guide, he recommended that you take control of CC, or wait, I'm getting them mixed up now, aren't I? What's the whatever the
Yeah,
red
I don't think
building
there's a
is?
CC on Hereford. Uh,
Oh wait, did I say Hereford? I totally meant Canal. so
oh,
so yeah,
those are
go
not the same.
yeah going. No, they're not. So yeah, you go to his Canal strat guide and
Mhm.
Coast Guard. That's the name of the other building.
Yeah,
So you take control of Coast Guard, and as soon as you've done that and you've taken control of Coast Guard, you just sit Ash at the far end of the bridge and just have her watch to make sure nobody can creep back over into Coast Guard.
right.
And then if like once the execute is happening or like if too many people die, she has the ability to get over into CC quickly by just running across the bridge or like going up the stairs and across the top of the bridge.
Mhm.
So that's like one area where she can be utilized in that capacity. So I think she'll do just fine with 1x sites, but it might reduce the number of times you take her in order to hold flanks, which most people weren't doing anyway. So, like I said, it's not going to be a huge deal.
Well, and people were saying it might increase the viability of the G36, or make it at least more of a choice. You know, one you get an ACOG, one you don't.
Yeah, it'll definitely be more of a choice, but I still don't think it'll be that much of a choice.
No, I think it's uh, still hands down take the R4C. You just, if you're having trouble with the range on a 1X, just play more aggressive and
Hmm.
get in people's faces a bit more, and it's fine.
Yeah,
That's really all my opinion on it. I don't know if you have anything else to add
yeah, I really don't.
about that.
I think it'll be just fine, like you said. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so next
The next
thing.
one is Maverick. So they're increasing the swap time between the torch and his weapon. So again, like a recurring theme with all these balancing and changes is that they're good. I mean, I think that they're mostly uh, great. Like
Yeah,
I see no problems in here really at all.
I think most of these changes go anywhere from like pretty innocuous, not going to change a whole lot, up to really
Mm.
cool. I'm really glad that happened. So, and this is one where I don't think
Uh,
it's going to change a whole lot. I think the main use of or the main best use of Maverick is situations where he doesn't even need to switch quickly anyway. Like thinking of Clubhouse, for example, when you just repel and get the walls, like you don't need to switch for
right.
that. The
Yeah,
one
that's a really utilitarian aspect to his kit.
Yeah, the one like major use case where it's going to change him, it will be like on Villa if you're attacking statue and taxidermy, whatever that room's called, uh, and you like get into master or you get into the closet and you like make some little holes and then try to find somebody, you might
Mhm.
you might need to get a buddy in there with you to like cover the holes rather than try to do it yourself because by the time you get switched and look through it, they've already seen it and are ready to kill you,
Right.
which I'm totally fine
Yeah, I
with.
think I think it's fine. I mean, his ability to just punch a hole through a wall and then swap to his gun and you know tap heads is. I don't think it was really a part of his design to be that lethal. They also said that they're investigating, or they investigated past tense of making the sound louder. But according to the notes, they say that will require audio work that they cannot complete due to coding issues, and it's probably just more intensive
Yeah, and
to
you
change.
definitely don't want Ubisoft rushing to do sound changes. So
No, no, the sound propagation in the game is very specific, and any changes to that completely change the entire game because of how uh, pro, what's the prevalent the sound is.
yeah, with the number of sound glitches we've seen kind of just like pop into the game every now and then, I think trying to get Ubisoft to do some sound changes is asking a dangerous uh, for a dangerous favor.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah,
if they
Mavericks,
do get
that's
that
fine.
working at some point, I'd be happy to see it.
It'd be louder.
Yeah, get it louder and possibly more visible. I would be down with that
Yeah, I could go for more
because I
visible. I
think
could definitely go for louder. I mean, you can hear it kind of, but not like if there's stuff going on or you're, you
yeah,
know,
yeah, you can hear a lot better now, at least recently. But
yeah. You wouldn't think that that tweaking the audio on that would be that difficult, but I
Yeah.
mean,
If there's anything
I
I've
don't know
kind of
anything about
learned
it. So,
from the minimal programming I've done, it's a you can never expect half the things that go wrong.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Um, but yeah, I think the reward of getting a wall open for free, well, yeah, I guess for free. I'll say for free. Getting a wall
Yeah,
open,
sure.
bypassing mute jammers and bandit. I think
Yeah,
the reward of just getting a hole there is good enough on its own. You don't need to be able to do it silently.
yeah, and I think it sort of increases the teamwork aspect. Where he's opening holes for other operators, not just for himself. I
Yeah.
mean, his namesake is Maverick. You'd think that you could just go off and do your own thing and poke holes and kill people, but that's not what the game is built around. The game is built around the teamwork, the interplay between operators. So,
Right.
yeah,
They're gonna
it's a good change.
see they're gonna have to change his name now.
Yeah, to coordinator.
There we go.
Uh, that'd be a
Hire us,
terrible
Ubi.
operator name. Hire us. Speaking of terrible operator names, I don't feel particularly good about Gridlock. Um,
Hmm. Um.
I feel like it's too. It depends on the gadget, right? Which is going to get released on this coming the Sunday. Which, depending on when we get the podcast up, could be, you know, the day after we're releasing it or the day that we are releasing it.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
but to me, it's
I've definitely seen better names, but I don't really care about names that much.
I do in the sense that I prefer the names to be not quite as obvious, like related to their gadgets.
Yeah, like smashing it over your head. Yeah.
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. I mean, like there's Pulse and Slay
And
and
mute.
Doc. Yeah, that's okay. It's fine. I'll change my mind. I forgot about all of the
we,
operators in the game that it's just obvious.
yeah.
Uh,
Well,
okay, so yeah, it's fine.
well, speaking of operators that have names that hit you over the head with an obvious term that clearly gives away what they do, Dokkaebi is getting a change.
I feel like that's sarcasm.
Um, feel
Do you
whatever you
actually no?
want.
Do you do you actually know what Dokkaebi translates to?
I think it's a goblin of some sort. Like it's a South Korean goblin. Kind of
Is it
like
really?
I think it's sort of like the
So it's
South
perfect.
Korean
So
version
it's
of
a perfect.
I think it's like the South Korean version of a Tengu, which is like
Oh,
a
okay.
Japanese
Right, right.
demon thing.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Um, that is, so it's spot on then, because she's a specter that haunts my. No, she's um,
Yeah. Well, she's gonna haunt your nightmares slightly less now. So,
slightly less. Yeah, if you want to get into that.
yeah. So, 3 bullet points. After 18 seconds, phone calls from Dokkaebi will hang up on their own, which is
Which just makes sense. It goes to voicemail. Like
right.
that's what phone calls do.
Yeah. I think a lot of people were asking for that. I think 18 seconds is a little long.
It's a long time.
But I think it's at least a good starting point. Now,
I mean,
now
when
Clash will only
telemarketers
have to
call
listen
you,
for 18 seconds, other than instead of the entire rest of the round. So
yeah,
it's an indirect buff to Clash, clearly.
which she needs desperately.
And then this is already a thing in the game, but I think they added it just for clarity's sake. Being in
Right.
range of mute jammers will prevent Dokkaebi from calling you, which already happened, but bullet point
Is
3
right.
kind of explains why they said that. Walking into range of mute jammers will hang up the phone calls, which I think is a
Which
great change.
is that's badass. I honestly think that's a mute buff. It's a Dokkaebi nerf. Um, it's just a quality of life thing. I think it helps engender more team play by your teammates knowing where your mute jammers are.
Hmm.
So it's hey, if you get called, you can just go to this spot or that spot, and and you're fine.
Yeah.
So I think that's great. I honestly didn't think Dokkaebi was too frustrating to play against, but now that'll move her into sort of balanced territory, whereas before she was sort of in the cheese territory.
Yeah. Well, I think it helps focus her more toward roam clearing because if
Yeah,
like
who's
mute
gonna have
jammers
a
are
mute jammer
generally on
roaming
site, not all the time, but they're generally on site.
typically,
So
right?
like the people on site won't be as screwed over by getting Like for instance, when they get a plant down and you're over in the other site and you get called, like that's basically game over. That's almost as bad as getting jackal scanned because now there's like three attackers all holding some weird angle and now they can all hear you.
Right.
So it'll be nice in that regard, and then also it'll like she'll be unchanged as far as roam clearing. So I think it's a good focus. Like I hated
Well,
Dokkaebi when she first came out because globals are stupid, and
yeah,
globals are still stupid. But at least
sure.
now there's like some focus to her rather than just
And
being
I
completely global.
honestly think that Dokkaebi's global is like the limit. That's like the line. Anything more
Hmm.
powerful or influential than that is just a no go. Like Dokkaebi's honestly fine, especially after these changes. I would like to see maybe an increase to the mute jammer's range.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's a few gadgets where I would like to see the extended range that Jackal interacts with, and that like
mhm,
drones to some extent interact with. Like there's a slightly larger range outside of the range where things just get like gadgets get muted
mhm.
that I would like to see more of.
Yeah, like the sort of like audible range where you can hear it clicking.
Hmm.
Um, what if that was, more? I mean, maybe not that to that extent, but larger than the area of effect of like a wall denial or a gadget denial.
Yeah,
Um, but for the Dokkaebi call denial or the lions, that's a whole different story. He's
yeah.
he's on the chopping block. Like
Yeah, ideally
he's
we
getting
won't even
surgery.
have to like discuss Lion in that capacity much longer. But
Yeah, and we're gonna find out a little bit more about that on the final day of the invitational as well. So
hmm,
looking forward to that.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
So the next one, in my opinion, is the most exciting change because I
it's
think
definitely the most complicated change.
yeah, and I think it might introduce a lot of really cool interactions. So Capitao getting an area of effect buff. There's going to be
Hmm.
fire like it looks like it's probably 2 or 3 meters across now, rather than just like maybe a meter. And then they're reducing the damage from 19 down to 12 per tick. So this one looks awesome because if it works the way I think it's gonna work, like wherever the arrow hits, it's gonna kind of like spread out from there and then drop. So they give this example. There's a GIF on the patch notes where it like rains down from a roof. I'm wondering if you hit a ceiling with it, does all of that fire fall straight down and in that same exact area of effect? Because if it does, there's going to be so many angles where, like for instance, on Tower on Oregon, if you want to get the
Hmm.
guy playing it on T3 up at the top of Tower, you
Hmm.
just like open up the T2 window, and then you just shoot an arrow on the ceiling above that little metal plate that gives cover to someone playing up there,
Right.
and then it'll just drop on them and they have to move. So the people at the window get a chance to kill them.
That's a good point. I mean, well, I guess we'll have to see. I don't. Um, it doesn't make sense to me that it would deny the area or have its effective area be from like where the bolt landed all the way to where the flames cascade down to, because that introduces some problems in areas of maps with large vertical stretches like Tower, where if
Hmm.
you could shoot it up and it just like rains down like a waterfall, firefall,
Yeah, see, I
you know,
think it will. All the fire will at least go until it hits the ground, and then if you're standing on that ground, then you get affected by it.
and then yeah, and then it have its area of effect.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
that
think it's
makes
going to be
more
some
sense.
giant cylinder of death. I think it'll just fall
Uh,
from where it hits on the ceiling down to the ground.
Capital buff.
It's like, have you ever seen Splatoon? I think there's some character on Splatoon that has exactly what I just described, like a gigantic cylinder of death.
Like a fire NATO.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that would be ridiculous. But honestly, I think there's potential for this to be slightly overpowered in certain situations, but I guess we'll see.
Uh, I mean, I'm sure. I'm sure there's some aspect of it that hasn't been thought all the way through because that always happens whenever something changes.
Hmm.
Like when they standardize all the throwing arcs for the throwables, where Valkyrie slipped through the cracks and all of a sudden she was Tom Brady and was lobbing these black eyes half across the map, out in outer space.
Yeah, I'm also
Um,
kind of wondering how it's going to be programmed as far as if there's holes in the floor, how much of the
yeah,
fire will drop through that, and how big does the hole have to be before it to fall through? Um,
that is an interesting point too. Like what if you're on defense, you're playing somebody with a shotgun, you get flamed out. Do you shotgun the floor and let the flames fall through? Is that even a thing?
oh, that's
Like
yeah, that'd be interesting to know. I wonder
as like
if
a counter?
the floor joists are going to catch any of the fire and keep some of it above. Like I have no idea. We'll just
Well,
have to
they're
wait and
working
see, I
on
guess.
so they're working on with this Capitao change an improved propagation system that makes the area of effect not go through objects. Their words
Hmm.
in the thing. Um,
Yeah,
so they
that'll be
said they've been
nice.
working on yeah they said they've been working on the new version for a long time, and they're able to see it in action with Capitao asphyxiating bolts. But that also makes me think that they should be maybe working on trying to do that with Smoke's Toxic Babes because that's the thing right now, like in Pro League matches where you can smoke a corner on like hookah on coastline, for instance. This is the common spot where you smoke one side of a wall and the gas canisters propagate through to the other side of the wall,
Yep.
which in real life doesn't make any sense. But in the game, it's like, how do you code around that? Like that's
Right.
how that's probably pretty hard.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
so they have to allow it, otherwise, like how do you?
Yeah, that'll be
It'll
a
be
long
happening by accident.
process of fixing that for sure.
But
Uh,
it gives me hope, right? If they're able to do it with the asphyxiating bolt, then that's a
mhm.
step in the direction to be able to do it with something that's a bit more particulate, like the
Yeah, like
smoke
honestly,
canister.
if they do what they did with Capitao and then just like wherever the smoke goes off. Actually, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Like I'm just trying
Well,
to
just make
reiterate
it
what you said. Yeah, it'll
at
just
least
like
make
they'll
it
eventually
contained
get
to
it.
one side of the wall.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope so. Um,
One of the cool things I was thinking about that you can now do with Capitao probably is
mhm,
so for instance on border, uh you can take the whole like shooting a pistol hole and then shooting a firebolt through that to a whole new
mhm,
level now. So like on border, if you go down into vents when they're defending armory and you just
mhm.
pistol a shot right at half wall and then shoot a flame bolt straight up through that hole and hit the ceiling above half wall, you'll get
Mhm.
this giant rain of fire on the person playing behind half wall. And from the size that they're showing in this GIF, it'll cover the entirety of half wall.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. But it will only do 12 damage per tick instead of 19. So it'll take 9 ticks to kill
Right.
somebody.
Yeah, but
Which if you're
you will
not
for sure flush them out is the thing.
oh yeah, absolutely. Which I think is fine. I mean, Capitao's pick rate has seen a bit of a resurgence in this meta that we're currently in,
Hmm.
which is great. But he didn't actually receive any direct buffs. I think this will be not necessarily a buff. It depends on how the propagation system works, but it'll at least be a quality of life improvement, and b potentially a buff. It could be something like there's some aspects of this that are really useful, like what you just said.
Yeah, I think the only part of this at all that's a nerf is the damage. I think.
Yeah, but and they say in the notes that people currently are using his asphyxiating bolts like frag grenades, where they drone somebody out or they know where somebody is, and they shoot a bolt, and the bolt is designed. The purpose of that action is to kill that player.
Yeah.
But they never intended that when they released Capitao. They never wanted his asphyxiating bolts to kill people. They
Hmm.
wanted they wanted them to flush people out of cover, and
Right.
then you use either coordination or you switch to back to your gun,
Yeah.
then to kill the
It
player.
sure did a shitload of damage for the purpose of it to not directly kill
Yeah,
people. So,
yeah,
but
right.
yeah, I think this is a good change. I think it'll be more interesting. I'm a little bit worried that there might be some overpowered uses like specific
Yeah,
use cases, but I
and
in
that's what
general think
the
this
test
will just
server
be
is
good.
for, right? It's going to be up on the test server probably shortly after the invitational,
Yeah.
so we'll all get a chance to play with it. And they even say like, hey, it's going up on the test server. We want you guys to test it out and see what's good, what's bad. You
Hmm.
know, what are some cool interactions that you can have.
Yeah, dude, the upcoming test server is going to be awesome,
It's
especially
gonna
if
be, yeah, it
especially
is.
if the SI playlist rules make it into ranked on test server. Like test server is going to be
Dude,
where it's at.
that is true. That is the true fact. I love the SI playlist. It's
It's the only
so
way to
much
play.
fun. It really is. It really, really is. But anyway, that's enough about Capital. So the next one, they removed the muzzle brake from Clash's machine pistol. Now that it's fully auto, there's absolutely no reason to run a muzzle brake in any scenario ever.
Yeah.
So they're getting rid of it. Whatever, it's fine.
Yeah, there's nothing else to say about that really.
Yeah,
There were well, I guess there's one thing to say. Somebody on Twitter mentioned that Rogue 9 was saying that the muzzle brake actually had a use case. Uh, but then Rogue 9 came on and he said, actually, after doing some more testing with it, I do think that the muzzle brake is pretty useless. So,
I think that his test case was when it still had the 2 round burst. I could be wrong,
no,
but
no, I think he was. Well, actually, I'd have to go back and see on Twitter, but I think he was actually talking about when it was full auto and burst firing it.
I
But I don't know if I
I
don't remember for
haven't
sure. But yeah,
seen
it's probably going to be useless. And
I have not seen a Rogue 9 video where he tested the fully auto machine
no,
pistol
he
on
didn't make a
Clash.
video. I think he had been just like posting some stuff on Twitter or like
Oh.
stuff like that.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're tap firing any gun like one bullet at a time, then the muzzle brake is what you want.
Yeah,
But I mean, it's a secondary machine pistol.
yeah,
Not many people are going to be tap firing that. Uh,
yeah. I don't think there's any need to. The recoil on it seems good. Actually, Clash seems pretty usable at this point because now you're
yeah,
not just like a like useless operator the moment you switch over to
yeah, you know, hopefully you no longer have a negative 11% wind delta.
yeah, we'll see, but I doubt she gets up
Well,
that high, but she's definitely going to be better than she was, obviously.
yeah, I mean, if she can make it above like Tachanka levels, that'd be cool. But
Yeah, that would be a good
she has
start.
seen a she has seen a decent amount of play in the invitationals, which are currently ongoing as of this record.
Yeah.
Um, it definitely her pick rate was more than 0. I don't know about her win rate, uh,
I
but
think I remember seeing one round she won, so
yeah, definitely there's been one. So the next bit of news is that Legion is getting his goo mine damage reduced from 8 damage per tick to 4. What
which
do you think about that?
so I asked for a Legion nerf last episode and we got
We
one
got
and
one.
it's not as much as I was hoping for, but we got it.
You heard it here first. We got Ubi's ear. They listen to us.
Uh-huh. And I don't think this actually changes much. I think Legion's pick rate will not, if it moves, it will just barely be a blip. Like I don't think it'll change his pick rate hardly at all. But it will almost certainly reduce his win rate. It'll just be hard to tell in game, but it does kind of reduce the necessity to just as soon as you get hit by one, retreat back into cover and pull it out. You have slightly less incentive to do that every single time you walk on a goo mine now. Like,
Yeah, that's fair. It's definitely less of an emergency when
mhm.
you step on one.
Like if you want to
I
get specific, you have twice as much time to spend with it in your leg.
right.
So that's kind of
That
big.
is how math works. Thank you.
Yeah.
Um,
I think most people just like think about the damage. They don't necessarily think about the time aspect. So I just wanted to.
that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Um, I I don't necessarily think that this is fine. I would have asked for giving him fewer mines overall over the course of a round. Like in my
Hmm.
mind, what I would probably do, because um, Legion is a trap operator, and all the trap operators have all of their traps available to them to pre-place at the beginning of a round, which for
Hmm.
Legion is too strong. That is too strong to give him
Yeah.
8 mines in his pocket for him to just lay about.
Right.
But also, I think that 8 mines is too many. I would like to see the total amount of mines that you accrue over the course of a round drop to 7, and
Hmm.
then just stretch the recharge timer out, but give him his first 2 in his pocket.
Yeah.
So I would say give him 2 at the beginning of the round. So even if he dies, he still has 2 mines, 2 lanes that can be, you have that notifier.
Yeah.
The damage per tick, that's fine. But I honestly still think that keeping his recharge rate and the amount of mines that he has the same is probably still a little too strong.
Yeah. Well, what you're describing is somewhat similar to how he was on release because back on release, it was every 35 seconds he got a new one. So he starts the
Mm,
round with one, and then at the 35-second mark, he gets another one, and then at the 70-second mark, he gets another one. Um, and then that equated to a total of 7 overall.
right.
Um, but like you wouldn't, I don't think people like no Legion main would want me balancing him because I would just fucking neuter the shit out of him because I
Right.
would make it so that he gets like a total of 5 of them, but the timer would be way faster though. Like you would get a new one every like
Oh,
20
so
20 seconds or something, so that you would get them all
okay.
fairly soon in the round, but you would at most have 5.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. I love playing Legion, and that would be upsetting to me.
Well, you can.
Dude, Legion's a great op to play. He's fun. He's got a decent gun. Like
He's dumb. He's a dumb operator.
it's uh it's actually so the animation to pull out a goo mine is
Hmm.
actually like it's really interesting because you can do it while crouched, you can do it while prone. Like the first time I saw somebody pull out a goo mine being prone, I was like, what
Yeah,
are
it
they
does look kind of
doing? Like,
weird.
what is this animation? Yeah, they're like on their belly and then they look back into the side and pull a mine out of their foot. I was like, somebody had to code this. This is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I've thought that too. Like the animation actually looks kind of cool because it makes you feel like you're in like real hard combat. You're like ducked
Yeah, it's
behind
like
something,
more
and you're
immersive.
like, oh god, it's like you're storming the beaches of Normandy, except you're just pulling out
The caltrops are a little bit bigger on the beach in Normandy,
a little bit.
just a tad. It's funny because I was actually watching uh today. I found out a video about those um, big ass like anti tank. I
That's what they were
forgot what they're
for.
called,
The
but
giant caltrops.
yeah, the giant caltrops, right? Exactly. They had a name, and obviously I don't remember what it was.
It probably has like a Pokemon name. So if like Caltrop is the first evolution, the second one is probably like Caltrope or Caltrode.
Yeah,
I'm going to assume it's that. It's Caltrode.
probably. Yeah,
All right. Well,
that's
next
what it
up,
was. You're right.
next one up is breach charges. This is it just seems like a quality of life fix, so that you don't
It's a
blow
bit of a
yourself up as much.
readjustment as well. Yeah, right. I wonder
Um,
though, because actually go through it first, and then I'll go over what I think
okay.
about it.
So yeah, the deployment animation is much faster, which is
Cool.
interesting. I actually, you know what? I forgot about that first bullet point. That's actually kind
It's
of
called a
interesting.
it's called a hot breach, not a moderately slow breach, right? Like you're supposed to be able to do it quickly and not sit there and
Yeah,
put it on the window
man,
and then reset and then
this is
swing
gonna
out
be
and then
this is gonna be the new. Well, I mean, Ashes already do this, but this is gonna be the extra Ash main special now. Now that they only have one X sites, they're just trying to get in sight and get as close to you as humanly possible, as fast as possible. So everybody's gonna be
yeah.
hot breaching now with Ash.
Yeah, hot breaching is definitely going to be a thing now, like a more common thing.
Yeah. So the deployment animation is way faster. Damage on attacker side is reduced from 150 to 50. So the most damage you can deal to yourself is 50. Dude, I'm going to be running up to walls, putting a breaching charge on it, and then sprinting
Just
into it, and then click
oh
it,
yeah,
and then just run straight through it. Take the 50 damage, I don't care. Just like run right through it
yeah,
and go
for
for the
sure.
kills. Damage area of effect on defender side is increased. We don't know how much. And then lethal damage area of effect on defender side is reduced. And we also don't know by how much, but
So it'll do damage at a greater range, but it'll be less lethal.
correct. We wanted to make the breach charge safer and more comfortable for the attackers to use, is the note they have there for it. So, what do you think?
So my um my thoughts on this are are they going to remove the achievement for killing somebody with a breach charge? Because that was always like the hardest one to get. I remember
Uh,
back in my PlayStation days, like that one was the hardest achievement to get, unless you, I mean,
you
because
had to like
it
D-rank to
almost never,
copper in order to get
yeah,
that.
it almost never would happen randomly,
Hmm.
and you had to like plan it out. Like, I mean, you see the YouTubers and stuff like Macy J get them all the time. Like, you have to strat that. You have to like plant the diffuser,
Hmm.
plant a breaching charge on the floor, and then pray to God that they're just the dumbest people ever
Yeah.
to not see that,
Yep.
or otherwise just like randomly be on the wrong side of a wall or something. Or
Yeah.
and
I
you can get a breach charge kill from above if somebody's standing directly underneath it as well,
I
which
I
probably
remember
with this
the
change probably won't happen anymore.
yeah, most likely not. Although depending on how much damage it does at that larger range, you might still be able to like kill people from a decent range as long as they're at like
If
40,
they're
30
hurt,
health, whatever.
yeah.
So, I don't know, we'll see, but I remember the first time I ever got a breach charge kill was back on PS4, not too long after I started playing too. And I definitely didn't do it completely intentionally, but I droned a room after putting a breach charge on a wall, and the defenders were right on the other side of it. Like if I had tried doing that at like platinum level, I just would have got shot. But
Right,
I put it on the
because you can
wall.
hear it. It's loud.
Yeah, super loud. And so I droned into the room. Somebody saw my drone, and then so I like drove my drone back out of the room, but the door that I droned it or that I went back out of was close to where I had planted the breach charge. So the guy came over to
Mhm.
shoot my drone through the doorway, and I
And got
blew him
blown
up.
the fuck up.
Yeah, like I didn't plan it when I placed that charge, but the moment I saw him running over, I was like, "Oh God, I think I can get him," and I got him. Um,
Nice.
but after I switched to PC, I didn't get one until Nomad came out, and like I finally got my meat wall just like about a month or two ago after
I
Nomad came
still
out.
haven't gotten one.
Well, you just all you got to do is pick Nomad and stick a breach charge on the floor, and then blast them through a wall into the breach charge, and then blow them up. I did that in a ranked
What
game on
a
the final
what
round
a
of a ranked
fun
game.
mechanic.
Yeah, pretty cool. It was pretty neat. Like I set up my air jab just right, and I put down my breach charge, and then I just like went into sight. We got the plant down, and then we were covering the plant. There were still two people alive, and I hear an air jab go off, and I'm like, I think
Huh.
I think it's the right one. So I hit the button and I got a kill, and I was just like, I didn't feel good about it. Like
I
there was
mean,
there was zero counterplay to that. The person who I killed had no opportunity at all to defend themselves.
right.
But I got my meat wall, so that's all that really matters.
True. Yeah. I mean, for the memes, you got to do it.
Yeah.
I've said this before, and you and I have had extensive conversations about this. But I want to see breaching charges reduced to 2 instead of 3 on every operator that can carry it.
Hmm.
And to my reasoning for that, my defense of that is that early on when the game was released, there just weren't a lot of soft breaching options.
Hmm.
Um, but now with the release of Zofia and Buck and the secondary shotguns on Jackal and um, shotgun pistols, like I think that the necessity to have 3 breaching charges on every operator that can carry them, which is a lot of them. I think it's like over half of the attackers.
Yeah, something like that.
Um, it's just too many. And part of my reasoning behind this is because it's kind of an indirect castle buff as well. If an operator, like let's say you bring a Zofia with breaching charges,
Hmm.
so not only do you have 2 explosive grenades, you have 2 stun grenades, and you have 3 breaching charges.
Yeah, it's a lot.
You're a nightmare. I mean,
And
you have vertical play in spades. You can destroy all the castle barricades. You can burn ADSs. You are a Swiss Army knife of an operator, a Polish Army knife, excuse me.
yeah. And when you first said that, I was kind of like, whatever. Like, I don't think it matters that much. But I think now about it, and I think you can make the same argument for nerfing the number of zaps that you get on a Twitch drone. You can use that same
Again,
argument in uh, in the argument to reduce the number of breaching charges people get, because I don't think it's super often that a person will use all three of them. But
No,
when you do get to use all three of them, that's a lot of stuff you get to blow up.
it's a ton. You can basically rotate your way across an entire map with 3 breaching charges. Like you get through 3 key walls or 2 walls and a hatch or something. Like you just circumnavigated the map basically.
Hmm.
On top of that, and you had this point where you like to bring Hibana with breaching charges because you have the combo of hard destruction and soft destruction. You can get through a wall, you can get through a reinforced hatch, and also you can breach charge the floor and open up these vertical holes to kill people.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a lot of utility. I mean, that's a lot of utility to be
Yeah, if
able to
I'm
do
on
that with
console and
one
I know they're going
operator.
basement, it's breaching charge 100% of the time because you just
Yeah,
get
exactly.
upstairs, get into that bathroom
You're the
hallway
poor man's
and the
buck.
piano, and you just open up the floor.
I mean, why even bring a buck or a sledge at that point? Because
Yeah,
how many angles do you really need to open up
and
in
especially
piano?
now that the animation is going to be significantly faster. Like you basically are a
Yeah,
buck. Like at
basically.
least the way it is now.
It depends on how fast it is.
Yeah, like at least the way it is now, you have to spend some time like actually deploying it and blowing it up.
Right.
But depending on how fast it is, like yeah, you are just a poor man's buck or a poor man's sledge.
Well, and it's like on cafe when you're taking in, if it's a mining dining defense, you go Hibana, you get the hatch open, there's 1 breach charge. You can Hibana your way into the piano wall, right?
Hmm.
That's 2 Kairos charges. You get the hatch open, and then you still have 2 breaching charges to open up vertical holes. You have the hatch open, you have vertical control, you got yourself into piano. You're just one operator, and
Yeah.
you did all of that by yourself.
Yep.
And then you still have a decent kit to go kill people after that, and you're a 3 speed.
Yeah. And to be
Uh,
fair, I don't think it's like super overpowered, but I do see completely where you're coming from. I do think it would be a nice change to just have two, since we do have we have operators that are meant to do exactly that. We don't need that many
right.
breach charges. So if you want a
Yeah,
soft
and
breach, take a
it's
soft breach character.
right, exactly. It's sort of special. It makes the soft breaching a bit more specialized, whereas not everybody can do it.
Yeah.
Where there are only a couple operators that can do it really well and efficiently,
Hmm.
but you know. Anyway, that's my point. I've been harping on this for a while, but it's I like playing Castle. Castle's really creative. To me, one of the most creative operators to play in how you can mold bomb sites to fit your team's sort of need, um, change the angles and everything. But he's too weak in my opinion. Um,
Yeah.
not by a lot, but
He,
by enough, I
yeah.
think.
He's right on the edge where it's just like maybe maybe what you're doing will be beneficial, but
Well,
there's just a lot of counters.
in lower elos, he's definitely underpowered.
Yeah, he just does more harm than good. But
Yeah,
get
most of the time, yeah.
get good coppers.
Well, it requires you have to have a strategy with castle. You can't just be castling stuff willy nilly. They're either going to be completely useless, and we're getting off topic. But
Yeah.
hi, welcome to the really big fucking podcast where we get off topic. Um, but the castle barricades you put up are either going to be completely useless, or they're going to, like you said, do more harm than good,
Yeah.
which is a problem when the vast majority of your player base, the quote unquote 99%, are people that you know play mostly casual or like solo queuing, to where castle you're solo queuing, you're not picking castle
Yeah.
unless there's a very clear common strategy, like on skyscraper for instance, where everybody knows the strat for the most part.
Yeah. Agreed.
Moving on
So
to later on down the list, they have some quite a few things actually under quote unquote current status of like reworks or things that they're looking at. So
hmm.
they're looking at deploying the deployable shield. Um, they are currently reworking how the deployable shield functions. How it is used within the game is the verbiage that they use. So that's kind of like a fundamental aspect of how shields work.
Hmm.
Um, they're looking at the ease of placement, and also the amount of protection that is offered. Hopefully, if they rework the shields, they don't reintroduce the kind of like
Hardcore
glitches and weird
parkour.
angles. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure they'll
Um,
have that in mind when they rework it.
yeah, they'll have to. I mean, I hope that they just take away the whole shield like blocking a window thing entirely. I don't think that that's a viable
Well, that
strategy. I don't think that
that,
was intended.
that is gone now. They got rid of that a couple patches ago.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think it was like
Well,
right
then
before you started playing on PC, so you might have missed that patch.
I did. In case the 6 of you that are listening to this are unaware, um, I did recently switch to PC, like within the last 2 or 3 months. And while I kept up with all the Pro League for the time that I was gone, I did not keep up with all the little news leaks here and there. But
Yeah,
thank you for.
yeah, they fixed that. I think they made it so that when you vault in, I actually don't know exactly what it does now because nobody does it anymore. So I'm pretty sure they made it so
Oh,
that
good.
when you vault in through a window, I think it just breaks the shield. Either it breaks it or you
Oh,
just slip past it. But yeah, they got rid
huh.
of that.
Cool. This is why you rehearse, kids. Work out these glitches. Anyway, so Lion is the next one on the list. Obviously,
Oh wait, no,
Lion
you missed
is
one. Shield
oh
operators are
shield
right below.
operators.
Yeah,
Yeah.
two kinds of shields are getting reworked.
So yeah, the deployable shields and the shield operators. Um, according to Ubisoft, they say that the current playstyle for shields heavily favors direct gunfights instead of teamwork, which we all experience on a daily basis, right?
Yeah,
You hear your shield, you're not thinking, "Oh my God, they're stratting on me." You're thinking, "This guy is
yeah,
push me and then ADS me and then I'm gonna die
yeah.
because of lean spamming and
AKA Schwinny, the guy on my collegiate team.
Schwinny." And that's why we counterbanned Monty against him.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, because
when
it
we do our
introduces a
scrims.
style of play that's just heavy on like really ridiculous gunfights.
If you can
And
even call them gunfights, I mean, the dude has a shield in front of his body,
yeah, and
and
I think the another thing is that Monty is
then they have desync.
I think what people underuse Monty as is he's able to create his own crossfires. So you just kind of like walk around somebody and then you tell your teammate to peek. And then right when they peek, you drop your shield and start shooting them from another angle. So you've created a crossfire and they couldn't do
Mhm.
anything about it because the entire time you were getting around them to the other side. Like they can't damage you. So uh,
Right.
if they reduce the like
Unless the shield desyncs and it faces the wrong direction.
right. Yeah, so now at least you'll be slower to ADS. I think that's basically all they're saying in this, right? Like we are looking to address it
It
by
doesn't
slowing
even
down
say they're
the speed.
Yeah.
We're looking to address it by slowing down the speed of aiming down sights while having a shield equipped. So yeah, like
Yeah. Fine.
if they reduce the ADS, it'll at least give the person that you've put into a crossfire an opportunity to like do something. Like it'll give them at least a little bit extra time. So
It's tricky though because um, I remember the days when Blitz was so criminally underpowered that he was one of the worst operators in the game. You know, you could shoot his earmuffs for a headshot,
mhm.
um, and he was just like slow to ADS, slow moving. His flash was pretty bad. And then, I mean, obviously Blitz is in a place now where we can all agree that he's a bit too strong.
he's
And
a
I think the Go ahead.
he's a bit bullshit is I think the technical term for it.
that is, yeah, that's the Latin. If you want to,
Hmm.
uh, use the
The scientific term.
right. um, so I mean, I think it's tricky because if you tweak it too much, then he goes back into being completely utterly.
Which I'm fine with.
I'm fine with it too. I honestly like I dislike the entire shield mechanic on offense and defense. I would be fine if they were just all gone from the game. I do understand that it's part of the whole siege universe to have this mechanic in the game. That it makes sense for for sieging to have a shield that you
Yeah.
can you know stack up behind or whatever, but it's just not fun gameplay for me. I don't like playing as shields. I don't like playing against shield operators. Are some of my least picked and least favorite operators in the entire game.
Yeah, agreed. like every single time I pick a shield operator, it's because I know there's some really stupid strategy that just works because I have a dumb shield in front of me, like
Hmm.
the clubhouse garage push. If you're trying to get up into
Yeah,
cash, you
yeah,
just pick Montaigne and then you just walk up the stairs because they can't do anything about it. And then
yeah.
and then you just ping out where they are on the catwalk, and then you tell your teammate down at the door to just start shooting there, and then you drop your shield and kill them in the
Shooting or
crossfire.
grenades or Capital crossbolts. Yeah, it's fairly simple.
Oh, that's gonna be another great spot for Capitao. Like
Garage
yeah,
and
garage
clubhouse,
on clubhouse.
absolutely.
You're just gonna like fire a bolt right up behind them, and then they're just gonna have to run. So
Or I wonder if you could like with the propagation, right? Going back to the Capital, if you could like, because a lot of times people open up holes to impact trick the kitchen hatch. Well, what if you firebolt back into one of those holes and it drops down, sort of drips down
ah,
and pushes them out so they can no longer impact trick that hatch?
maybe you'd probably actually have to hit it through the hole that they made,
Maybe. Yeah,
but
but that's like
still
that's like
that would be fairly easy to do.
that's like
Because the range
400
is so
IQ.
big, you just like walk up to the hole and shoot directly straight down through that hole,
Right.
and then they aren't really going to have the ability to even stand there. Well, actually, with the reduced damage, they could probably take a little damage and still throw the impact up, but they would have to take damage to
Yeah.
do it at least.
It's definitely a trade-off at that point. It's a risk reward
Yeah.
kind of thing. And they're actually so Ubisoft actually does have another section all about Blitz later on in these patch notes or
Oh
these
yeah. Actually, yeah. You just want to skip down to Blitz real quick, and then we'll come back up to Line and Glass.
yeah, for sure. So what they say is that they recognize that Blitz is one of the more frustrating operators to play against, which we already iterated upon. Um, so they're increasing the amount of time required from the ADS. Is basically the only way that they're nerfing him or looking at nerfing him currently.
Mm-hmm.
It's not clear whether so talking about the deployable shields, the shield operators, Blitz specifically, and then Lightning Glass later on. These aren't specific nerfs that are coming into the game or balances. It's just stuff that they're looking at into
Mm-hmm.
changing stuff that's on their plate. But
Read that second paragraph on Blitz, and then tell me if that makes any sense to you.
um,
So I'll read it out loud. So
additionally, yeah, okay.
additionally, we explored increasing the cooldown of his ability and tweaking how we detect flashes, but both of these changes will require extensive audio/code work and are therefore on the backlog to look into for the future. So
That sounds good. Did you get a new microphone?
I did.
Sounded buttery smooth on that.
Mm.
I actually already knew. um,
but
But yeah, no, that doesn't make sense to me at all, really. I mean,
so,
the how they detect flashes, that makes sense to me that change would require extensive
right,
code.
yeah. I think we have the exact same thing in our minds right now. So yeah, detecting flashes, I understand that could be a lot of difficult code work. But how
Mhm.
does reducing the cooldown on his ability take a lot of coding?
Yeah, that just seems like a slider to me. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
or
honestly, it might just be kind of like a oversight typo kind of thing. Like they just,
maybe.
I don't know. But yeah, I hope they reduce the cooldown because being able to chain flashes seems stupid. Like the only time you ever chain flashes is when you're trolling somebody. So,
Yeah.
or I guess there's actually two times when you're trolling, or when somebody melees you, uh, right after you flash them. So you
Hmm.
flash, you get meleeed, and then you have to like come
And you
back to
chain
normal,
the flash.
and
Yeah.
then you flash again just in order to like confirm the kill. But if somebody, here's my thought on this: if somebody melees your shield, you shouldn't be able to act, or you definitely shouldn't be able to like come back to normal and then flash them again before.
Before they can kill you.
Yeah, like well, I guess the flash I understand will last longer, but the way it is now, if you melee somebody and then or if you melee a blitz and he just flashed you, you're blind, probably gonna die anyway. But at least they don't get
Mhm.
to flash you again and then ADS and kill you.
Yeah.
If they make the cooldown longer, then he has to kill you uh before you get any visibility again. Like he just
Right.
has to ADS and kill you or get lucky with hipfire and kill you before you can see, and he doesn't get the chance to just flash you and get a freebie. Like so I would personally like them to number one reduce or lengthen the cooldown and then also reduce the amount of time you spend blind Because if you melee Blitz's shield right after he flashes you, it should reset to neutral. Because if he got too close, that's his fault, and he should suffer something from that. But in his current state, he doesn't. He can just reflash you or just kill you before you get to see him again.
Uh, I agree and disagree. I mean, Blitz is really annoying to play against, but I have uh, lots of quite a few specific memories of like being full blind and meleeing his shield and still just spraying him down, just full blind.
Yeah,
I
that'll
mean,
happen, but that's kind of like a rare case, rare-ish case.
uh, not. I mean, it's happened about half the time that I've been pushed by Blitz, if my memory is correct. But those people probably aren't playing it properly, right? They're actually like getting way too close,
Yeah, yeah, like
or just like not
yeah, like
hip
a
firing or
smart a
something.
smart blitz player will just keep his distance. Like the only time you get to melee a shield is when you catch him off guard.
Yeah.
Most of the time. So like if you catch him off guard, he
I
deserves to
actually
die.
I actually clutched up in a ranked match against a blitz, and I went to knife his shield, and I just knifed him straight in the head.
Was he
He
trying to
died.
melee you and like his shield kind of reared back for that split second?
I honestly think it was desync because he was like trying to. I'm assuming on his screen he was turned towards me,
Uh huh.
but on my point of view he was like looking off to the left.
Oh,
So I
was he
just punched
standing
him right in
still?
the skull. Sort of, yeah, kind of.
Yeah, I could see that. You might have.
Because it's like I rounded. It was on border on ventilation workshop. He
Mm-hmm.
was underneath the hatch, and I was pushing him from like the middle of the workshop area.
Gotcha.
So yeah, he was standing still like underneath that. And so I think when he turned to look at me, his shield went the
Uh,
other way, and I just punched him in the skull
yep.
and killed him. And he even in the chat he was like, what the heck? Like I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know, man. I just went and defused the thing. I was like, okay, disabled the diffuser.
Yeah.
Take that W.
I'm I was about to just explain to all the blitz mains out there how you avoid that, but actually I'm not going to
Please don't.
because eat my ass blitz mains.
Yeah, hear that
So
RN,
yeah, for real. Eat my ass RN, but also carry me to diamond. Uh
please.
so going back up, Lion, they get a quick little sentence in here. As mentioned in the intro, the designer's notes from year 3, season 4.2, the Lion rework is in progress. Rejoice.
Mm,
More details at the sixth invitational. So that'll probably,
it only took a year.
yeah. Which I don't. Do we have the schedule for the sixth invitational up anywhere? Because I'm wondering when they're actually
Let me
gonna.
pull that up real quick.
I'm wondering when they're actually gonna do that. I assume it's gonna be Sunday, but we don't know that for sure. It'll probably be Sunday. I don't know what they're gonna be showing tomorrow. Oh yeah.
Saturday it looks like the R6 Universe panel and then the To Win It All documentary. So I do assume it is also on Sunday.
Okay. So yeah.
Probably it's probably tied in with the year 4 roadmap. I'm assuming they're going to announce
Oh yeah.
the when Lions rework is going to be implemented into the game sometime during year 4.
Yeah.
Which
Sounds
I
logical.
think that they should take. I mean, obviously the Six Invitational playlist has been a huge success, but it's a bit diminished in the fact that Lion is still in it. So
Yes.
he's still massively skewing the bands
Uh huh.
because he's an auto. I mean, not necessarily like lower elos. It's harder to we've already talked about this, but at lower elos, it's harder to coordinate with a Lion scan.
Yeah,
Um,
I bet probably in gold the most common uh ban is probably lion though, just
it's
because
Lion Blitz.
yeah,
It's
because
Lion Blitz every time.
yeah, because like in gold
Not that I'm in
you're
gold or anything.
basically like at the gold level you're basically at the point where you're like competent enough that you can use lion and people can somewhat competently use him against you.
Mhm.
But then I think we already mentioned this before, but in the higher elos like platinum and diamond, there's usually a gentleman's agreement to not pick lion unless somebody else does it first.
Right.
So
Right.
he's probably not as banned in the higher elos, but obviously, like it's using casual MMR. So how do we really know? But
Yeah. Well, and like
that's just my assumptions.
the last SI, not the last SI game that I played, but one of the last SI games that I played, one of our random teammates was like AFK and got auto picked, and it got auto picked Lion.
Oh no.
Yeah, and he was like, I'm not going to use his ability. Like, he played the whole round without popping his gadget once.
Yeah.
That's but that's sort of to give an example to the extent to which people will go to honor this quote unquote gentleman's agreement
Yeah.
to just not bring cheese,
Mm-hmm.
which it's just a quick aside on that. It's very nice that the community takes it upon itself to balance itself, but it is not their responsibility. It's not incumbent upon the community members, the players, to do that. I think it's definitely on Ubisoft's doorstep
100%.
to to make those changes so that we don't have to, because we're just trying to have fun. I paid for the operator. I have the year 3 season pass. I
Mm-hmm.
uh, paid for Lion
Yep.
to get early access to him, and I've never played him once, not one time ever in a multiplayer match, and even rarely. I think with like Terrorist Hunt, maybe like 2 or 3 times for challenges or something. But
See, you're still a scumbag.
I
Terrorists
guess
didn't even know it hit him.
they didn't. Uh, I feel so bad for those mindless bots.
Yeah.
um, but I literally have never once played Lion in a multiplayer match, and I don't necessarily consider it a waste of money because I don't think in those kinds of terms. I didn't buy the year 4 pass for the operators. I bought it, just to support the game, I guess, to
Mm-hmm.
whatever.
Yeah, the early access
It's
is
this
nice, and
thing
being able to
new.
have a lot of extra, having all that extra renown lets me flex on people. So
Yeah, it's a
it's a good feeling, you know.
Rainbow Six style.
Uh huh. But yeah, I agree with that sentiment though. Like I do kind of see it in that term. Like I did pay for Lion in some sense, and I don't really get to use him because either I don't want to because it's scummy, or because he's banned all the time. So like give us a useful operator, which I guess in the same sense you could say that Tachanka is sitting there wasting my money, but he's a year 1 up, so I guess not in the same vein as Lion.
No, and Tachanka has transcended the everyday humdrum of operator, you know, balance and play. He's the Lord. You can't change the Lord. Could you imagine? And the funny thing about it is that he became the meme because he's so bad.
Yeah,
But now that he's the meme, they can't change him
yeah.
because of the
I
uproar that would cause. And the meme has died down, right? The Lord Tachanka, whatever. Like it's very nearly dead. It's down but not out.
Dude,
Um,
r slash Rainbow Six banned Lord Tachanka memes. So if that tells you anything,
the idiots. What are they doing?
it was getting out of hand. They had to do it.
That's fair, but I mean, shitty Rainbow Six, uh, r/shitty Rainbow Six is it's
it's
still going.
it's
It's going
still the
strong.
best siege subreddit. So
It really is. It's way better than the normal Siege subreddit.
yeah, r slash
Uh,
Rainbow Six is the worst siege subreddit by far.
yeah. Now, why do
Um,
you think that is? Well, just quickly, why do you think that is? Do you think it's
it's
because that's
because
where the most people are, or because of the moderators, or what?
it's a combination of both of those exact two things. It's the moderators don't let through a lot of or sorry, they let through too much just random art, which I get that like Rainbow Six art is really cool. There's a lot of it, but
Mhm.
make a separate subreddit for that. Like
At this point, probably, yeah.
if you go to r slash Rainbow Six, 90% of what you see is
It's
just
fan art.
is one of two things. It's either fan art or like some random clip of like some guy getting like a 3 or a 4K. So
Cool.
it's just super boring. There's nothing of substance there. The only reason to ever go to that subreddit is just for the stickied posts, which are usually news, um, or
AMAs or something.
yeah, like patch notes. Like I stopped subbing it, and I just like kind of check it every few days just to see if there's like something new on the like being stickied. So
Hmm.
yeah, and then there's just too many people, so that's kind of why most of the top posts are just clips of some guy getting a 3K in some somewhat creative way. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's a lot to learn if you can kind of get through all the meaningless chatter, but Like you'll learn new angles and stuff occasionally, but you might as well just go to any other subreddit or just watch Pro League.
Yeah.
If you want to learn how to play the game better, go to Siege Academy or go to
Yeah, Siege Academy, right, is one of the subreddits that's actually like
yeah,
built to teach.
yeah, it's a good subreddit. It's pretty well fine tuned and such. But yeah, the main one doesn't have much, or doesn't have enough actual quality content in it. Like that's the whole reason they
Mm.
made r/Siege Academy, is because the default r/Rainbow Six subreddit didn't have anything that was actually useful for learning how to play the game. It was just a bunch of
Right.
like art and like
Swimming in a sea of like
whatever
people
clips.
jerking each other off. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was just our like Rainbow Six Circle Jerk is basically what r/Rainbow Six is. So.
Hmm.
So last thing on the designer's
The
notes
designer notes, yeah.
is Glaz, and they say we want to bring Glaz back to the original intention of being able to hold an angle or corridor and lock it down without becoming a very strong entry fragger. So, what do you think that means? Are they getting rid of the thermal scope?
That would be very interesting. I think that uh I guess no. It's just the short answer to that. No, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think they're getting rid of the thermal scope. I think that that would undo a lot of work that has been done to put Glads in a decent place.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that they might tone it down a bit so it's not quite so like neon fluorescent yellow,
Yeah.
and
Either
maybe it's a
that, or
bit more subdued.
they could make the circle smaller, like the thermal circle in the middle of your screen. They can make it smaller so you
Yeah,
don't get so much
true. And
peripheral. Maybe.
they have been tweaking that, or they have tweaked that in the past, I think.
I don't remember it, but you might be right.
I think when it was first introduced, the thermal sight, I think that it had a very large area, and I think they reduced it.
Okay.
It was a long time ago, so you'll have to excuse me. Um, my brain is full of pro league matches, but I also it could be, you know, with the intention of being able to hold an angle or corridor without becoming an entry fragger. They could be talking about a speed change. Uh,
Yeah, that's possible.
because
If
he's
he was
currently a
a
2-2.
yeah, if he was a 3 armor, he might be the only like useful attacking 3 armor that doesn't have a shield.
Right, exactly. Because the only other one is fused,
Mm-hmm.
which doesn't make a ton of sense. I guess if he were a 2-2 and he could just sprint across the map, you know, dropping matryoshkas down, that would be pretty upsetting.
Yeah.
Um,
But yeah,
and he
I
also but
thinking
he
about
also has
that.
the option of a shield. So
Right. Yeah. So like thinking about that, I think I'm actually pretty cool with Glaz being a 3 armor.
I think so too.
As long as he, I don't know, I would like to see his gun do a tiny bit more damage and have a way slower fire rate, or vice versa. Uh,
Right.
just because I kind of liked the whole him being able to one tap a 1 armor, like even in the body. I kind of liked that. I don't know if anybody else liked that. I don't think I would like that much with the thermal scope. So
Yeah, I
that's
don't like
sort of
that. Not
yeah,
with the thermal scope.
yeah, that's sort of contingent on getting rid of the thermal scope. So like if they do get rid of the thermal scope, make him a
Because
3 armor, make
what's the
him
counterplay to that? Don't emit body heat. You know?
right. Yeah, I don't think they're yeah, it definitely wouldn't be healthy to have him one tapping people with the thermal scope. But
No.
if they get rid of the thermal scope, make him a 3 armor and then make his gun do like 120 damage to 1 armors, I'd be cool with that. I don't know if that's actually going to make him better, but I'd like to at least play it for a little bit and just see if it works.
Well, I think it would sort of go with the theme of not making him an entry fragger,
Hmm.
but having him still be able to hold down an angle because entry fraggers, by and large, have high rate of fire guns that are relatively easy to control
Hmm.
and are typically faster operators, right? Your entry fraggers are your 3 speed, your Ash, your IQs, your what. Um,
Hmm.
you can entry frag with 2-2s as well, which is probably why Glaz is so good. I mean, he has his own smoke grenades. He sees through the smoke grenades, and he's a 2-2. His gun is, they just buffed the rate of fire sort of recently, and it does a lot of damage. You can two-shot people basically.
Yeah.
Um, most operators in the game you can two shot, but so yeah, I mean either reducing the damage and increasing the fire rate, and probably either keeping the recoil the same or increasing it slightly, I would say.
Yeah.
Um, or increasing the damage and decreasing the fire rate to make it more of a true sniper. And then maybe even adding a speed nerf on top of it, making him a 3 armor
Yeah. Here's an idea.
on top of one of those two.
What if what they're trying to say is hold an angle down a corridor and lock it down? What if that means? I mean, I don't think this is what's going to happen, but I think one way to do that would be to make it so that when you're ADS'd with his scope, your sensitivity is way slower. Like make it just like a base rate even. Make it so that you can't even like DPI switch your way to make it super fast. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you can't turn fast enough, you obviously can't entry frag. Like you would have to un-ADS turn and then look somewhere else, which is gonna make him hard to entry frag with, or make his ADS time way longer, so that he has to be holding down angles. So
I
I don't
would
know.
agree
Either
with
one.
the ADS time longer thing. I don't know if I necessarily agree with the sensitivity
Yeah, I
decrease.
don't. Yeah, I'm not saying it's necessarily a good idea, but I think it would achieve that goal of
I'm
making him
not saying
someone
it's a
who
good
has to
idea,
be. Yeah, it would
but it is
achieve
an
the goal of
idea.
making it so that he can just
Yeah,
hold angles and like
it
look
would.
down a long hallway. Like you wouldn't be able to turn super fast, but I don't know. And
I
then
mean,
make his
a
hip
lot of
fire
people play
super
like
big
that
too,
anyway, though.
which it already is kind of
Yeah,
big, but like make it even bigger,
yeah.
just so that he really can't entry frag.
Does it still fire in a perfect circle? Did they fix that?
They fixed that.
Okay,
Speaking
long
of
time
which,
ago.
I don't know. Did you know that I was the one who posted that?
No, I didn't.
Yeah,
Did you really?
that original post on r/rainbow 6. It was the only quality post on r/rainbow 6 that entire month. Was me. I was the one who posted
Jade.
the Glaz hipfire was glitched. That it was shooting in a perfect circle. So props to me.
That is, yeah, that is really cool.
Quality content
You
from Daddy Bino.
got a famous person on this. Who knew?
Yeah.
You
Well, now I'm a
you got
world famous
Reddit.
podcaster too. So
Well, I
just
mean,
like
obviously that goes without saying.
yeah. But yeah, that does it for the designer's notes.
Yeah, that's it for the designer notes. I mean, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, a lot of little tweaks, some big tweaks, some tweaks coming in soon, some not quite for a little while, but
Yeah.
like it was a big surprise to me for sure that all of this is on Ubisoft, radar.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, they're like every single thing in these designers' notes is a good change in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Eh,
There's nothing here where I'm like, no thanks. Like, it all just perfectly fine.
yep. So yeah, good stuff, Ubi. And then, so getting on to the next thing that also looks like good stuff is the new map. So new map Outback.
Again, a bit on the nose, but it's fine.
Yeah, they could have.
I mean, all the map. No, it's fine. All the maps are like that, right? Border
Yeah,
is a customs
for
border.
for a hot minute there, I thought that
Yacht
they were
is a yacht.
calling. Yeah, I thought they were going to be calling it Operation Outback, and I was like, oh god, they really went
Oh
there.
no.
But I mean, calling the map that is not much less cheesy, but definitely less cheesy.
It's like Operation Outbreak, except instead of like zombie things, it's emu.
Snakes, spiders, lizards.
All of the flora and fauna in Australia that's trying to kill you,
Hmm.
which is most of it.
Yo, what if that's a what if that's a part of the map and you just have to like run around dodging spiders?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be the best change they could
I
possibly
just
make.
I want a jukebox that plays 12-Foot Ninja, which if anybody
I don't know
knows who
that
I'm
song,
talking about.
or
No,
wait, is it a
it's a
song?
band.
Oh, a band. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's an Australian fusion metal band
Ah.
that is awesome. Not hashtag not sponsored. But go check them out if you're into fusion metal.
and
All three of you.
and go check out the Avalanches if you're into Australian electronic music.
I'm gonna do that.
You should.
Do
They're
they
really
do
good.
they distill like sounds of the outback and like put it into their?
No, actually, they're
Is it recognizably Australian?
not even a little bit.
Okay. So it just sounds like any Australian, like any electronic music.
It's like sample based stuff, so they like take samples from popular songs and turn it into their own music. Actually,
Cool.
not even really many popular songs, just a lot of different music gets sampled together.
Hmm.
But yeah, good stuff. Go check them out. Anyway, the
Anyway,
new map, Outback,
hashtag not sponsored.
set in Australia's Red Heart. This map is an homage to all the dusty service stations and motels that populate the forgotten highways of the continent. Places filled with hardworking locals and specialty menu items you'll find nowhere else. So,
Like Vegemite.
dude, I guarantee there's gonna be some Vegemite in the diner.
There has to be.
But yeah, like this map actually looks sweet. It looks like just the right size. It looks about like it looks about the same size as Oregon, just less tower.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
well, that's what
I'm
they said.
hyped.
It says that the assistant level design director,
Hmm.
great title by the way. Um, they used two maps for reference when they were building this map, and those were Oregon and Clubhouse.
Okay, yeah.
So
The other one I was gonna say it looked kind of like was Clubhouse.
it does look a bit like Clubhouse. Yeah, well, you see that little like if you're
Yeah,
following along
yeah,
with and looking at
yeah. Like
thing,
from
it's got like a
well,
little balcony, and it almost looks like the cash balcony.
yeah, from a bird's eye view, it actually looks kind of. I at least I think it looks like an L. Uh, based on this kind of isometric image we get of it.
Yeah,
So yeah, there's like
it does.
there's two wings to it, and I don't know. I'm a big fan of that shape of map because I think it offers more than a straight up box does. Like I think they got kind of lucky with border, but most of the box shaped maps I just think don't necessarily work all that great.
Mm,
Like
what about Coastline?
coastline is a bit of an exception, I think, based on
Well,
the
Coastline was
atrium.
influenced by Border.
Yeah,
Uh,
for sure. I think
yeah,
it
with the whole
yeah, I think
center rotate.
they get away with it on coastline. I think because of the atrium or the what's the word?
Courtyard.
Yeah, the courtyard. So I think they get away with it on there because of that. So that's it's
Mhm.
not so like twisty and uh like weird
Well, it would
hallways
be
everywhere.
really, yeah, it would be really hard to rotate
Yeah,
without that open courtyard in the middle, which doesn't like not a lot of people really use it that much, but when you need to use it, like
yeah,
you
and I
really need to use it.
yeah, and I think Hereford is the opposite example of that, where it's just like a whole bunch of terribly designed rooms that all
Mm.
kind of mishmash together in weird ways.
Yeah,
And like
like cafe.
yeah, cafe is another example of a square map that just does not
It's a
work.
big box. Yeah.
Um, although I guess it kind of worked before, but in the current meta it just doesn't work. But but yeah, this map I think is shaping up to look pretty good. I might eat my
Yeah, I
words
mean,
in about a month, but
I I honestly don't think you will. I mean, um, the level designers are just getting sort of better and better. I think there have been like Fortress. Not a lot of people are really keen on Fortress, but I like it. I think it's a pretty well designed map. I think it's a little bit too big, to be honest.
yeah, I
But
think
other than that, I think it's pretty well designed. All the rooms seem decent. There's you can set up some good defenses, but you can still attack.
a lot of
It's not.
parts of Fortress work really well, but they don't fit together all that well to me anyway. Uh,
Well, it is large, and it's like
yeah, there's it like if you cut off about 10 or 20 meters off of like say the east end. I don't actually know what's on the east end because I don't play the map, but like if you just cut off about 20
uh,
meters from one side and then 20 meters from the north side and just like used that cube and then obviously
yeah.
like tweak as needed, I think it would work a lot better. Because there are certain parts of it I really like the balcony. I think on the east side, there's like a balcony there where there's stairs out there, and you can move around kind of freely, and you can get into a couple different little areas. I think that part works really well, and then
Mhm.
getting to the bomb sites from there, uh, going into that bunk room, and then into whatever that other room on the other side of that is. With I think there's like a
Yeah.
projector, or a table, or whatever. Like that part, I
Mhm.
think works pretty well. The first floor is a little too twisty and like really narrow hallways. I think if you opened up a lot of that, you'd probably have a much better map. But overall, yeah, I think I agree with part of what you're saying. Like I think it's decently designed in parts, but it's a little too big and the bottom floor is too twisty.
Mm.
That's my stance on it, at least. I think they
Yeah.
did a decent job of the exterior of the sites themselves.
Hmm.
Like the approach to the sites often works pretty well, but
Yeah.
then past that, like out farther, beyond where the site is, there's just I don't know. There's too many narrow hallways, and it's really frustrating to play against. And
Yeah.
there's too many rotates that don't involve uh, they they force feed you these are the hallways,
Right.
whereas on a map like Border, you can design the map to do whatever you want. Like you can make a
Pretty much.
rotation from the top of metal into fountain, and then you can make a
Hmm.
rotation from like right under 90 basically into security. So you can make your own
Yeah.
hallway there. Whereas on Fortress, it's just like this is the hallway, and that's the only option you get.
Yeah, it's tough because they're trying to subscribe to the theory that they don't want bomb sites directly accessible from the outside. They don't want them to share
Hmm.
a surface with the exterior of the building,
Yeah.
which is fantastic. I mean, that's one of the main complaints about any bomb site is that it's too easy to just you could just hop in or breach one wall and then just plant like smoke and plant and then it's done.
Hmm.
Um,
Well,
and
look at maps like Clubhouse and Border that have
yeah,
exactly that. And
right.
I don't think it necessarily hurts the game too much because and the reason it doesn't is because those sites where you can just jump in and plant, they always have soft ceilings or a soft floor. So
Right.
like if you want to plant in archives on Border and you want to come in from the north balcony and
Hmm.
just plant in the doorway, you're going to get C4'd from below if the defending team is competent. So,
Yeah.
like you can't just do it for free. You have to take
Well,
control of some other part of the map before you do it, and that's kind of the analog for that section of map you have to go through in order to get to site. Like you have to go
mhm,
take control of below. So that's kind of like the same philosophy, just in a different dimension. Like you have to go up and down rather than
right.
just like having to get farther into the map in order to get to that site.
Well, and that's what I think is what they attempt to do on Fortress is to just put a buffer between the sites and the exterior, which unfortunately resulted in long ass hallways with indestructible walls, on each side where you're basically funneled into
Hmm.
not necessarily a death trap, but you're funneled into a, a lane where it's very easy to predict where you're coming from.
Yeah. So in certain parts of that map, it's very one dimensional because every time you get into the map, you're in a long hallway that wraps around the site, like the
Yeah.
that hookah area. I forget what it's called,
Hmm.
but there's like the hatch that drops into that little hookah area. Now you're just in a hallway that wraps all the way around the building,
Yeah.
and all the site rooms
Basically.
are in the middle of that. So I don't know. It just doesn't feel very extra dimensional.
Yeah. Well, and this map, Outback, I mean, it does not subscribe to that same. I mean, I'm sure they tried that to implement that philosophy, but it looks like they toned it up a little bit. So
Hmm.
you've still got some outside access walls, but they probably aren't adjacent to bomb sites. The they set out specific color coding for each section. Uh, it looks like a lot of the rooms are very easily recognizable. The call outs should be a breeze. I mean, it looks like a pretty solid map, and it does. It looks like an L. I mean, it looks like Oregon,
Hmm.
um, or like if Oregon and Clubhouse had a baby,
Yeah.
you know, which is great. I mean, Oregon and Clubhouse or Oregon Clubhouse definitely since the map buff is probably it's definitely one of my favorite maps in the pool, if not my most favorite map. I mean, it has three perfectly good bomb sites on it.
I'm a big fan of that map if I'm playing competitive rules because I like being able to ban Maverick. I think Maverick makes that whole map
Yeah,
just really frustrating to
Maverick
play
makes
on.
that map pretty miserable. Yeah.
But yeah, beyond that, I do really like the map. And you even saw today in the Invitational, there were people playing on that map without the Maverick band, and Like
Yeah.
he did his typical thing, but still it was very defender sided. So I don't know.
There was
I'm
definitely
just
some
bad, but
counterplay that evolved from that. Like they were impact tricking through the Maverick holes, so the Maverick would make his holes, and then they would throw their impact grenades through those holes to get the thermite charges, which or the Habana pellets as well.
yeah, that was impressive.
It is
Just doing
because
that
it's a
on the
slim hole.
fly is yeah,
Yeah.
doing that on the fly and not getting shot is pretty.
Well, but that's a. I mean, that was a predetermined counter strat because they had to hold on to their impact grenades specifically to do that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, just doing it when somebody's holding an angle on you on repel,
Hmm.
it was impressive and it was really interesting to see.
Yeah.
But
Seeing this is a little bit of a tangent, but just seeing how often the pro players or how highly they um, prioritize the idea of making sure that Hibana doesn't get the second set of X Kairos off. So like
mhm,
they would uh, they would Hibana the very bottom of the floor and then immediately pop it so that it didn't get bandit tricked or anything,
mhm.
or even I don't think there's anybody down below to shoot them, but they probably would have just shot them instead of impact tricking. But so they got their
Mhm.
first Hibana hole open, like
Depends on the site.
yeah, it was a prone hole, and then the defense did everything they could, like they impact tricked it, like their lives depended on it, in order to stop
Yeah.
Hibana from opening it up even more to get a crouch hole,
Hmm.
which I think I think is sort of obvious to some people, but at the same time, often you just kind of like once they get one hole open, you're just like, ah, crap, they're gonna get everything open, so I'm just gonna
Well,
play far away.
uh, I think mostly in ranked and in just like sort of casual elos, people don't even bother to get just one hole open. They'll shoot two or even all three of their sets of pellets out and then activate them.
Hmm.
So it doesn't even provide the opportunity for that kind of play because there's not as much counterplay between, impact tricking the top of the wall, so you have to only shoot one set of pellets down below,
Hmm.
or uh, shooting a set of pellets because you're worried about a bandit trick, so you can only get one set open at once. Like that's pretty high level stuff that you don't really see a lot in your standard sort of ranked play.
Yeah, and
Um,
I don't remember which map it's on, but I remember seeing one instance where Hibana shot her pellets at the bottom of the wall and immediately started to detonate it, and then the impact tricked the top, and it got the top three pellets. So there was only
mhm.
three along the very bottom, and then when they
Yeah.
tried to get it higher, they just impact tricked that little sliver of holes at the very bottom, and they never did get in.
No, and I think that's the huge. I mean, it's a huge detriment to the attack to have only either no hole at all or a prone hole as opposed to a crouch hole.
Hmm.
Because a crouch hole is easy, especially if it's at a height that you don't have to vault. But even
Yeah.
if you do have to vault, it's not that big of a deal. You can just flash in or smoke in or something and vault and you're in. It's pretty
Hmm.
quick. But proning is
Yeah, that's
pretty
some
much a
dangerous stuff.
non-starter. Yeah, it's pretty much a non-starter in almost every situation, unless your smoke coverage is really good or you know that nobody's in there, which at that point, like whatever. Like if you're trying to prone through a hole, you're gonna die. 9 times out of 10. 99 times out of 100, probably.
Yeah, and even if you do get one kill, you can't turn fast enough in order to kill the next person who's crossfiring you. So,
Right. Yeah. But anyway,
but
going back to the map.
well, just the one last thing, and that's why you take shotguns and make your holes with shotguns and save your impacts.
Yeah. Saving your impacts is really smart. Um,
But yeah, going back to
which
this map, or did you
yeah,
have one last thing to say?
I did.
Let's stay on this tangent for a little bit longer.
My final thought on this is I'm not sure if I necessarily want to see more impact tricking in ranked
Hmm.
or in just like casual play because it's kind of a pain in the ass to deal with and like yeah, I mean you can see when a team is angling to try to do it and there's some really common spots like the clubhouse kitchen hatch, right? That's really common.
Yeah.
Or uh, that's the only one I can think of off the top of my head. But above certain walls, like in a villa, for instance, you can do it on a lot of the walls are
Hmm.
4 meter walls that
Yeah.
you can do that on top of. But
Top floor of bank. Is
yeah,
another
yeah,
big one.
top floor bank. That's a common one. I'm not entirely sure I want to see more of that. Is my point. So don't
Yeah.
save your impacts. Use them to make rotates. It's fine. I don't want to have to deal with that kind of thing.
Yes. Use them
I mean, you
frivolously.
can. Like, it's not too hard to counter strat. You see the holes on the top of the wall, and you're like, okay, they're gonna try to trick it. So then you
Yeah,
go
there's
through
there's generally
your
ways around it.
checklist. Yeah. Um, but I don't want to have to think that hard.
All right. Well,
The backstory for this Outback map though is kind of, I don't know if I'm exactly on board with it.
the lore.
Yeah,
I didn't even read it. What was it?
it's so word for word. Unfortunately for this particular pit stop, a passing nuclear convoy came crashing to a halt while under attack, forcing locals and patrons to flee and causing Rainbow to be called in. So that's what happened. There was a nuclear convoy, was under attack, and and obviously the whole lore of the entire game is that it's all a simulation, right? We're just war games,
Oh, right.
practicing. It's not real. It's rubber bullets. We're just doing terrorist and counter-terrorist simulation, basically.
Yeah.
It's like that episode of Rick and Morty. So where we're in a simulation inside a simulation.
Well, I mean, we probably are.
I mean, if you're talking about actual simulation theory, then yeah, you can't. By definition, you cannot prove otherwise.
Yeah.
So it either is or it isn't, but there's no way to tell. Which is that catch-22.
Like I said, guys, existential stream of consciousness podcast. Welcome.
Really sad fucking podcast coming right up. But what was even the point? What was I gonna? Oh yeah, that's the lore. That's the backstory of the map. Is that there's a nuclear convoy, was under attack, and crashed to a
Is
halt
is
at
that
this
is that what
outpost.
this smoking truck in the very center of the
Yeah,
picture is?
it's nuclear waste or it's
Oh
radioactive
yeah.
material. Uh,
If you walk through it, everybody you get a Finka boost for a little while.
yeah, probably.
But
Or
yeah,
you're
I
just
don't know.
you're just like you're lion scanned for the rest of the match.
There's actually not a whole lot even else to say about the map, but if you go through
It
the
looks
quick
cool. I
video,
mean, it's red. There's a
yeah,
lot of red.
it looks distinct. It looks easy to
It's
spot
bright.
what everything is. So yeah,
It's brightly lit.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
I'm more than cautiously optimistic. I think this map looks pretty good. I mean, if it's anything like Oregon or Clubhouse, it could almost be like a carbon copy of Clubhouse
Hmm.
with minor tweaks, and I would be happy with it because I love Clubhouse.
Yeah. Well,
Just like
so
reskin Clubhouse, be fine.
yeah. So assuming this map is actually good, and assuming they want to keep the Pro League map pool down to 7, which map do you
This
get
is
rid
a really
of?
good question. Yeah, that's a fantastic question. Uh, Villa? No, let me
I
think about it a little harder than that. That was a gut call. That was just my
see
emotions
see
taking
that's
control.
also my gut call, but I think I just say that anyway. Even after I think about it a little bit longer, I think I still say Villa because I think that's the one at least that most of the pros are kind of just like, whatever. It's just
I,
really big and a little
I
too windy and whatever. I
the
don't think it's a
the
bad
biggest
map by any
problem.
means. I'm totally fine having it ranked, but
Yeah,
I think if you want to keep the Pro League map pool down to 7, I think you get rid of Villa.
for me, it's between Villa and Oregon.
Hmm.
Um, and the biggest reason for me is just the viability of the bomb sites because there are only really two on both maps. On Villa, it's the top floor Aviator Games or AVG as they call it on the
Hmm.
street, um, and then Trophy Statue. But
Yeah,
the bottom floor sites are indefensible.
yeah, they're pretty bad.
Basically, they're
The
pretty bad.
Yeah, kitchen's like okay at best.
And Oregon, you get laundry and dorms. And it's true that Tower has the highest defense win rate of all of the sites. at some astronomical like 62 or 68% or something, according to the most recent data that I heard from somebody who
Yeah.
heard it from somebody else. Uh, it was on Kicks and Intero. I think we're talking about it, but they're just their reasoning behind why that's so high is because the attackers don't really know what they're doing because you never really have to attack it that often.
Yeah.
Kicks' reasoning was that the teams that go there to defend it have a strat in, whereas the teams that go to attack it really don't. They just kind of have like a small checklist of, well, we got to take T3, I
Yeah,
guess.
and it's also the site that they've probably attacked the fewest number
Right,
of times.
right. Yeah,
So
small sample size.
there's a
Sure.
weird combination of things that go into that, but I think once attacking teams
Well, statistics
figure their
are
shit out, they'll be able to take it.
statistics are great, but they're not always 100% indicative of the trends.
Yeah.
Because due to things like small sample sizes and selective sample sizes as well. But
Yep.
yeah, so Oregon for me is one of the weakest maps, and I think there are a lot of people that are like, Oregon's tough. It's tough to defend on because you only have 2 good sites, and depending on the bans, like if Amir is banned, then the bottom floor becomes, or the basement becomes a bit more difficult to defend. You can still accomplish it with like Maestro Echo or bulletproof cameras or whatever,
Yeah.
but it becomes even less defendable at that point.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's that's another decent pick for a map.
I
to
mean,
be
I
on.
would still probably vote Villa. I think you're right, and that's probably just because it's not as deep seated in my heart. I don't know it as well as Oregon. I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours on Oregon.
It's probably accurate.
I mean, it's maybe a bit hyperbolic, but I spent at least 100 hours on Oregon, just playing on Oregon.
Yeah.
And it's just one of those maps that I could draw you a map of it off the top of my head.
Mhm.
Whereas Villa, like, I know the top floor reasonably well.
Yeah.
But the bottom floor, I'm almost completely lost.
Yeah, I know pretty much the entire map other than the basement. I'm a little fuzzy on parts of the basement.
I probably know the basement better than the first floor, and that's just from like tea hunting on it.
Oh, well, that covers pretty much everything. So it's time to move on to our interview with
Yeah,
ya
we do
boys.
have an interview.
Yeah, so we've got an interview lined up with the season. I think it might have been season 1. I don't know because it was my first season at least on the scene with the Collegiate League. We've got
No, it was
Yakitori
the
Peanut.
fall 2018 season, right?
Correct. Yeah, the fall 2018 season was the first time I was involved with the league, and we've got Yakitori Peanut and Tubles from the UC San Diego, University of California San Diego, and they won the 2018 fall season, and they are here to tell us some things about it.
A really big fucking hole coming right up!
Well, Yaki and Tubles, welcome to the Really Big Fucking Podcast.
Good to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, we got you on here just because I'm actually a coach for the University of North Georgia team, and I'm just like invested in the college scene, and I want to see just Siege in general grow, but specifically like Collegiate Siege, I think is a growing area that I would like to see really.
Yeah, is
take
this like the
off.
first? Is CR6 like the first ever?
I'm not sure if it's the first, but I'm pretty sure it's the biggest. Actually,
Yeah, it has to be.
yeah, because we played a game against Maryland College Park yesterday, and they are actually in another league, and I forgot to ask them which one it is, but I'm gonna go back and ask them at some point. But I'm almost certain CR6 is by far the biggest,
Okay, yeah.
and I think
I think
playing
it's super cool. It's like, I was looking at all the different teams that were playing each other because I caught your guys' VOD when you played Houston just like last week, and yeah, that was we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's just I think it's really cool for the community how many different colleges are picking this up and playing each other. I think it's awesome.
So for you guys, like, how did you guys even get involved? Like, did you know anybody else on the team, or like, was there an esports club where they were just like, hey, we're doing tryouts? How did that work?
So basically, we have one guy that made the Discord channel, but it was just if casuals. It was for his own purpose of finding people to play Siege with.
Oh,
Huh.
So we joined, and then I think it was when CR6 was about to begin or was created last season. One of our other friends came in and just was like, just asked us if we wanted to make a team, and we were just like, sure. So it was basically just on the whim, just a team of friends, basically.
Oh, that's
So
kind of
you guys
awesome.
actually knew each other beforehand
Yeah, most
for the
of us
most
did.
part.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
Yeah,
except
that's
for
better
me.
than acquiring a bunch of randoms, I guess.
Yeah, I pretty
know-
much just joined out of the blue one of the days. I didn't know any of these guys in real life before.
Well, you're like the new
Rainbow
kid in
Six.
class, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I showed halfway through the season, they were looking for replacements for some of their players, and apparently I was a good fit. So it was a surprise to me.
Yeah, tryouts are super weird. I
How do you
did
do
it.
tryouts?
Yeah, it's hard. I did a tryout for a Go 4 team that I played with like a year ago, and they had us do like 2v2s, and they were in our
2v2s.
yeah,
Interesting.
they were like in our DMs, like listening to our calls, seeing what kind of
Did they pretty much just like do 2v2s because they wanted to test your aim and like some calls?
yeah, they were seeing like what kind of strats we could come up with on the fly, what our calls were like. Not necessarily aim as much because everybody can kind of shoot, but
Did you guys never do like 5v5 scrims for tryouts? No.
I know that, yeah, University of North Georgia did do 5v5. I think they just I think at that point they didn't necessarily know what the official rule set would be, so they just kind of like picked some stuff and then had 5v5 trials, and then they just picked the players that did the best in those 5v5s.
yeah, the top fraggers.
Yeah, because since we won the first season, we attracted some more players, so we wanted to do a tryout. But I tried searching it up. I was like, I couldn't find anything. I was like, how the hell do you hold tryouts?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's-
hard.
'cause
If you have a smaller organization, it's tough to get 10 people together just
Yeah,
to have fun.
because it's not exactly like a physical sport, so it's just
Right.
like I don't know how to do this.
Yeah, and it's also a bit of a trick because certain colleges have an esports club, so they can just like go to the like the campus, like where all the clubs are just hanging around, like seeing if there's interest. So if you don't have that at your college, then what do? Like, how do you even get interest? You just gotta
Yeah.
like print out a bunch of flyers maybe and put them all around campus. Be like, hey, we're a siege
Oh.
team.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
you
just
know what,
unfortunate
Hey,
for
do you play
us.
Rainbow Six Siege?
It was kind of just unfortunate for us because we do have an esports team, but there's no siege section.
Oh. Well, hey, now that you've got the publicity of winning a championship,
Yeah.
go talk to them
Yeah.
about it now. Like,
But-
honestly, if you won a tournament, like, just show them that.
Oh no, we're officially part of the we're a division now, but
Hmm.
before when we created this, we weren't official.
I
so
see.
it was kind of hard.
Yeah.
We pretty much only
what's
had
bad?
like 6 players to choose from.
You know what's gotten us a lot of like new members for our squad?
What's that?
You know that clip of me against Kennesaw State University where it was like a 1v1, and then it was like a Twitch. The title of the clip was titled like 10,000 IQ play by Twitchers, and it was basically me running into a claymore that he was hiding with his body.
I remember that.
And that clip got like
Everyone
what,
remembers
like
that.
5,000 views, 10,000 views or something.
Wow.
That clip has gotten our team like 3 or 4 potential recruits.
And actually, you know what?
Because they just saw that.
I'm not gonna take complete responsibility for it, but I posted in the r/Rainbow Six Pro League subreddit right before the finals started, and actually, I don't know if that wasn't the finals, was it, or was it? I don't even remember
It's
anymore.
the
Wait.
semifinals, I think.
The Claymore? No, it was like it was just a regular playoff game, I think.
Okay, because I think
No, it was semifinals. I'm pretty sure.
I don't think it was. Was it?
It was
Eh,
KSU.
doesn't really matter. It was a playoff game.
Gotcha. Okay, well, whichever it was, I posted in that Pro League subreddit just saying, hey, there's like some collegiate games going on right now if anybody's interested. And so I think it got a few viewers from that. I'm not saying that the person who clipped it was necessarily a person that I brought there, but I'm going to take credit for it anyway.
Yeah, I noticed that those clips were also in like the YouTube videos that were titled "When Pros Go 10 IQ or 200 IQ."
Yeah, that
And
was
it's like we're not pros, not even close.
We're not pros. Was that intended though, or was that just kind of like an accident?
It was just like I don't know. It was just like a compilation of matches.
Mhm.
Yeah, and then ours was in there, even though we're not really exactly pro or semi-pro.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, they
speaking.
probably saw that clip from the subreddit and then decided to add it to their montage.
Yeah, it could have been for sure. Well, speaking of Pro League, like, do you guys gain strats from Pro League? Like, how much Pro League do any of your teams watch, or any of your players
Nada,
watch?
zero.
Really?
We
All the
literally,
strats?
our team is literally just wing it.
But we have some big brains. Like all of our strats come from the guy you're talking to, Yakitori.
Uh-huh.
But no, we don't get strats anywhere else.
Gotcha. Are you also the IGL, Yaki?
Yes. Technically, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just control most of our players, and then we have another person control an individual player because he's our thermite player.
Oh, okay. Sure. What do like? How often do you guys practice? Like, are you just? I see you guys on all the time, so I just assume you're playing every single day. But like, do you have a set practice regimen, or how does that even work?
No, we actually don't practice that often. We just like get on sometimes and play ranked.
Man, you're exposing the entire league for the frauds that they are.
Well,
You're
no,
just losing to some ranked stars.
watching that border match from Houston from last week, it certainly looked like it. It's just like,
Oh, that
I'm
one? Okay, that
Yeah.
one, we have an excuse for that. We were all so tired, and we were like legit just trolling.
No, okay. Yeah, it's like you guys are getting like picked off spawn and just like wasting your
Yeah.
entire round to push and stuff. I mean, it was you had a lot of good plays, especially like two bulls on Legion on Bank. For just an example, I thought that was really good. You did a really good job.
Thank
But yeah, that border match got a little hairy.
Yes, it did. We pretty much threw that one.
Yeah, I'm certain if we play that game earlier instead of having it delayed by like an hour or an hour and a half.
No, we had it delayed by like
Outcome
3
would've
hours, dude.
Oh
Yeah,
jeez.
the outcome would have been. Say
were
we would have won, but like I'm saying we'd have been cleaner.
Yeah, we were supposed to
lot
play it like
better.
7 or something. We played it like 11 or 10. So we were just sitting
that
here
was
for
not
3
good.
hours waiting.
I mean, you guys are college students, right? You have other stuff going on. You have tests and you have to study.
Of course, yeah.
Of course.
You know, so it's a long time. You know, the game you guys played was like 2 hours, and 2 hours is a long time to take away from the life of a college student who has lots and lots of other things that they could be doing.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's part of the
Finals
reason why we
match.
don't have official practice either. It's because everyone's really busy.
Yeah, everybody's schedule is just all over the place, I assume.
Yeah.
One of our players, we never see him around until the day of the game. He shows up like 30 minutes before each match. And he's like, "I'm ready to game." And
He's like
does
the
well.
Kramer of the team. He just
Pretty
pops
much,
in.
Yeah.
I'm
Outside of
ready.
that, we have no idea what his life is like. He's like a mystery.
Oh, that's funny. So you guys don't co-opt any strats from Pro League, but the invitational is going on right now. Are you following that at all?
Nah, nope.
No.
I'm following the score lines. I'm not actually watching the matches, but I'm following the.
Mhm.
It's hard. Yeah, I tried to watch the matches, and the first day alone had 2 separate like 12-hour streams.
Yikes, yeah.
So you really have to kind of pick and choose. Like I'm already like a day behind on the streams, and I'm basically just gonna have to skip ahead to the quarterfinals, and they start tomorrow. But
What teams are you rooting for?
PG, baby.
well, my favorite team got
Norengo.
knocked out already. I do like Norengo. I actually am part Japanese, so I'm a little biased.
Oh.
So
Oh, you are.
only a little, only 25%.
Everyone I know just calls them a bunch of monkey. Because they're like, I don't know. Well, from what I've seen, it's just like, we a big aim with no brain.
They do play like that, yeah. I mean, they do have
Yeah.
really good aim, but they kind of play a bit loose, and they also do some weird stuff with their hands. I don't know if you've seen this.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I
the
saw that
VODs.
highlight.
Do little dances and stuff. Yeah, I mean,
Their
good for them.
coach is
They're
also
having
really
fun.
troll.
Yeah. Just deadpan stares into the camera, and just like does this little hand dance thing, which is fine.
Yeah, you know my knowledge when the only 2 teams I know are Pengu's team and G2, because that used to be
What's
Pengu's
Pengu's
team.
called?
Penguin's
know
team
that.
is G2.
Yeah, they still on
Oh, no, Penta, because that used to be Pangu's team.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, G2's looking pretty solid. I mean, they were struggling in the season a bit, quote unquote struggling, but they pulled it together. They're charging ahead pretty well through
Yeah,
the
I saw
tournament.
that. I think they were getting wrecked, right?
They lost, I think, 2 or 3 matches in the season so far to like teams that they should not have lost to.
Yeah, I
Like,
think they tied a couple times and they lost one. Or maybe they've lost even more.
They
I'm
lost
not
2.
sure.
They lost to Ents and Secret for sure, but they
Oh,
should not have
okay.
lost to Ents. Like that was. They played on. This is getting off track, but they played on Consulate and they literally did not drone anything. Like they were just entering the building, no droning, just swinging in windows and shit. Like, come on. But
Kind of how some of the college teams play.
yeah, well, that was what I was gonna say too. Is that the Collegiate League? Just looking at the score lines, you can tell that certain teams are definitely better than others.
Yeah, I feel like there's not too many players for Siege too.
Yeah, it's definitely not the biggest. At least on the collegiate level, it's not very big yet.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's like-
they say that we're approaching 45 million, but that's not concurrent, right? That's probably like 45 million.
I think that's also casuals. Casual
yeah,
players. There's
yeah,
a lot of
that's-
casual players
yeah,
for this game.
definitely. There are a lot. That's true. There's a huge portion of the community that just plays it casually,
Yeah.
tries to have fun.
I actually think most of the community is casual.
Mhm.
I think so, and more than half of the community is on console as well, and there's no competitive aspect to that anymore.
Oh yeah, and that actually reminds me. Had any of your team played a more competitive rule set before, or was this the first time really?
What do you mean?
Like, had you played with like pro league rules with bans and
Like Go For tournaments or game battles or anything like that?
Tubos, you want to answer that one?
I've never competed in any sort of Siege tournament before, so no for.
Was it a bit of a struggle to figure out how the strategy changes when bans come into play for you guys?
No.
Just
Wait,
wing
are
it.
you? Is this exclusively Siege? Like, have we played different rule sets for Siege?
Siege, yeah.
No, we pretty much only played casuals and ranked.
Gotcha. So, I mean, what do you think it is about your team that makes you guys so successful then? Is it just outgunning everybody, or is it also the strats?
I think if we're having a good day, it's that we can adjust to how the enemy is playing.
Mm-hmm. So
'Cause
your team
usually, if
probably
they're
has...
doing,
Or go
yeah,
ahead.
because if they're doing some strat, we can usually figure out a way to play around it.
Yeah, so your team must have pretty good communication then.
Yeah.
Good communication and good intelligence. I mean, that's the sign of the better teams out there, is that, you know, you can come into a match with any amount of preparation you want, but being able to adapt on the fly is probably one of the best abilities to have as a player.
Mhm.
So I think that definitely bodes well for you guys in the future. So the Six Invitational, speaking of more competitive game modes, the Six Invitational playlist is going up every weekend. Are you guys been playing that at all?
Yeah,
Right.
I've been playing that a lot just to get the pack. But I do hope they keep the picks and banning for ranked queue.
I think everybody does. Yeah, it's gotten a really, really warm reception. Everybody that I've heard is saying that it's just like the best. We've been playing it a ton. I know, because to me, it's like, it feels like the way the game is supposed to be played, instead of this switching back and forth and not being able to ban overpowered ops and all that stuff.
When are they gonna rework LAN?
When it's in the works, quote unquote.
Yeah, I think they said they're going to announce the Lion rework at the Invitational. I think they said on Sunday they're going to announce what their plans are with Lion. I'm not sure if it's going to be ready by next season, but hopefully. Because I would like to see I mean, it's basically like you're getting a new operator on top of both of the Australian operators that are coming out, so that would be nice.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they don't screw it up.
Well, and speaking of operators, I mean, Kaid and Nomad have been quarantined for the first little bit, and I think I probably know the answer to this question, but have you guys been preparing for their entrance into the league yet?
Oh yeah. I've been
Oh,
practicing
Nomad?
Nomad a lot.
Yeah.
He's probably gonna be Nomad is probably gonna be one of my mains. If
Really?
he gets,
We
like,
we
unquarant-
think Nomad's blatantly OP.
hmm
I tend to agree with that.
Yeah, her ability is pretty strong. I mean, it doesn't make any noise. You don't know where it is. Like, I mean, when you shoot it, it makes noise. Shoot it out of the thing. But like, if you're
Yeah,
just
it's-
trying to roam or flank and you had no idea where it was, then good luck.
Yeah, it's because there's no player interaction with it. There's no way to counter it. You put it on top of the
Yeah.
door, and you just can't get
Yeah.
through. You just gotta leave.
Yeah, even if you know it's there, you know it's exactly where it's placed.
Mhm.
It's activating instantly, so you can't even just peek out real fast and shoot it.
And
Yeah.
while it's activated,
No-
you can't move, you can't look around, you can't
Yeah.
shoot. Like I think that's
That's
too much.
yeah, that's the big part. It pretty much turns this game into League of Legends. You can't do that.
Yeah. I think it introduces an interesting idea of being able to watch a flank with a gadget like that, but it doesn't have any counterplay, which is a big issue.
Hmm
Well, it's
Um,
like with Gridlock coming out soon, right? With the flank. I mean, I'm assuming it's some kind of flank holding floor
Yeah.
deployable device. It's a similar kind of thing.
Have they released what they do yet?
Not yet, but
not
they've
quite.
hinted.
There've been leaks, there've been hints, and then the actual operator reveal is happening on Sunday, this coming Sunday.
Do you think? I mean, what do you guys think about Kaid then?
Kaid, I
other
think he's
side.
fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
Do you think he's gonna have a big impact on the Collegiate League?
On certain maps yet, maybe on Oregon, but I feel like he's gonna be very situational.
Yeah.
Well, so do you guys? I mean, you're busy with the Collegiate League. You're busy with your studies. Do you have any time to like do other sports? Like, do you guys do any other school sports or?
We do other video games.
Oh yeah.
Apex Legends, we've been playing that a little bit since it came out.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody's playing that right now.
Yaki here likes to play League of Legends sometimes.
No. Screw that game. I'm done with that.
We got a small little cult growing in our server that's playing, God forbid, Minecraft.
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Not my-
Oh, no.
Yeah, we do that every once in a while on our server too.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's like
I know,
every
Slowly killing us.
yeah, it's about like every 2 months we get like really frustrated or bored with Siege, and then we're just like, you want to play Minecraft for like a week and then never touch it again for another 2 months.
Something with no stakes, where you like you just chill, can't die.
Yeah. We play a
Well, you
bunch of
can.
random games, like Killing Floor,
Mhm.
Killing Floor is a good
Rising
game.
Storm 2.
Do you play any of those at a collegiate level, like in a league,
No,
or is
no.
Siege the only one?
Those are completely casual.
Oh, okay.
I can't handle too much competitive stuff.
Going back to that game on you guys played against Houston last week. That was his. What was up with his echo play on Bank? That was bad. Like, I mean,
Wait, what? Which one? What are you talking about?
Echo, like he lost. Well, there was one round specifically I remember where he lost both of his yokai drones in the garage.
Oh
To
yeah,
like a
yeah, I
Finka?
saw that.
I mean that Finka for whatever reason on the other team on Houston like had
Which map?
aimbot on Bank.
Oh, I'm bang.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I don't know. Like we weren't playing correctly at all.
Oh, okay.
Literally just told us, "Hey, I'm just gonna play super aggressive." I was like, all right, go for it.
So, hey,
It
I'm
was-
tired. Just gonna go run around.
Yeah, pretty
It
much.
was Panda on Finka, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was wrecking us in the on the border match as well on the Finka. He killed me.
Yeah, Finka's that's a
like
weird.
3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I think it's. I remember
Consi-
the.
Yeah, I'm considering picking up Finka just because of that match, but
She's pretty powerful. I mean, she has a really high, according to the Ubisoft win delta chart. Her win delta is just off the charts through the roof. I'm gonna blame that on one person. So I looked at the stats. There's one player in the APAC region who is a Finka main who's like a double diamond. He has like 8,000 MMR. But he mains Finka, so I'm just blaming it all on that dude for just completely skewing the stats like way off the edge.
Yeah, probably. I don't think is that good.
Yeah, I don't know. She's situational, but also if you can get if you got a shield main with it, sometimes you can just like fly
Yeah,
through
you
like
get
a freight train
you get the
and
Finka Blitz
crush
combo
everyone.
a lot. I think her gadget is just too complicated, to be honest. It does so many different things. I don't even know everything that it does, but it does a lot of different things, and a lot of players don't like it because of the way that it affects their aim, and they're not accustomed to being that much of a laser beam.
yeah, that's actually the primary complaint against Finka. Is that it messes up the recoil control. They're used to pulling down, but all of a sudden don't have to pull down. Oh,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, well, when you only get to practice it in like 10-second segments every like couple rounds, it's
That's
kind of
true.
hard to get used to it. So that seems valid.
I remember the match that G2 played where they got interviewed about the Finka play, and Fabian was like, well, Kanto Raketi's aim wasn't feeling too good, so we just played Finka to help his aim out. It's like, oh, okay. You guys can just do whatever you want then, I guess.
Who was it? Pingu that said that he played Blackbeard until his aim got better.
It's just cover my face. Just don't shoot me in the face. I need to get better.
Yeah, that sounds like
That's
something
shocking.
Pengus probably said.
Yeah. Somebody who has some of the best aim in the world, which is hilarious.
All right, well, I guess that about covers it. Is there anything you want to say to the Collegiate League? Any words of encouragement or words of any smack you want to get out there into the
Derision.
world?
Yeah.
University of Houston, you got lucky, all right? We're gonna come to playoffs losing no matches. We're gonna go choose every other match that we're gonna play, and then we're gonna beat you guys in playoffs, 100%.
Wow, you heard it here first.
To CR6, get that prize money out on time, bro.
Oh, got him. Well, hey, thanks a lot for coming on, guys. We really appreciate it. Like Bino said, we'll link it to you once it's up, and it's everywhere podcasts can be found.
Thanks for hopping on.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Thanks for
Yeah,
having
good
us.
luck.
Talking to you.
Have a
Yeah.
nice night.
Have a nice evening.
You
Guess
too.
West Coast, right?
Yeah, you too.
Yep. And that's the end of the show for this week. Catch us on Twitter at ReallyBigPod. Catch me on Twitter at BNanoSplat. It'll be in the description. And then catch Poet on Twitter at Bleeding Revenge. So catch us on all current podcasting or all of the major podcasting platforms. We're out on YouTube as well. So hit that subscribe button. Smash it into the ground.
Smash it.
Destroyed. All right. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you next week.
Goodbye.